You're listening to Passing Time, a Detroit Lions podcast. We're one pride and all grit, with a passion for Detroit Lions football. Whether you're between meetings, between classes, sitting in traffic, or just relaxing at home, if you have time to pass, pass it with Passing Time. Detroit Lions Talk.
Hey, welcome back. And we're on the clock, and you're passing time with us, a Detroit Lions podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
Hey, this is episode 12. We're growing up. We're growing up like a cheap diner coffee, burnt, bitter, and somehow exactly what you need to start your day, to round your day out. If you're just trying to make it till 4 o'clock, if you're just trying to get pepped up, or maybe we're a decaf coffee to set you to sleep at night.
Just keep working on it. Keep watching what we have here, and give us feedback along the way.
Fun pod. Obviously, information is not abundant out there. So today's podcast, we're going to talk about a $3.7 million stadium play that the Commanders are trying to buy their way back into D.C.
Wow.
Literally.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Shedeur Sanders, he's already got a rap sheet. I know he's flowing this way, he's flowing that way, but 2 tickets over there in Cleveland.
I heard he's not going to drive anymore.
He should get a driver. I mean, honestly. Damon Arnett, he's back in the league. You can threaten to kill somebody on video. And if you're good enough at football, you'll get hired.
Should be okay.
Tom Brady, looking like he's been doing Chuck Norris crunch machine. Took a couple selfies in the gym, and the rumors are he's coming back.
Ooh, Detroit Lions? What? No?
They're not on the short list. No. They're not on the short list. Justin Tucker, 10-game suspension. Who saw it coming? Did you?
Nope. I didn't see it coming.
New stadium deals. They're popping up everywhere. Expansions, brand new stadiums. Who's paying the bills, Brian?
You, me, well, the cities. Yeah, Chris.
All the sponsors on this podcast are paying those bills. Plus, we're going to talk about roster cuts, comeback signings, fantasy overreact, a lot of things, and we're going to go around the north. But mainly today, we're going to dive into the defensive side of the Lions roster. We're going to compare it primarily to the Philadelphia Eagles, kind of piggybacking off our last episode. Of course, we are going to get into this is the 4th week of Lions, last 10 years of Lions draft picks. We're going to dive pretty big into the 4th rounders. 4th rounders, it's a lotto ticket. The Lions hit the lottery a couple times, and the numbers didn't hit right a couple other times. We're going to give you the best, the worst. Brian's really going to kind of dive into that. And there's some interesting plays, and it's going to be kind of fun to look at. Similar to the 3rd round, very similar to the 2nd round, where they really did well, and also some guys that you probably fell off your nomenclature a little bit.
If you know them at all, right?
If you know them all. So, buckle up. We got receipts, rumors, and a whole lot of reckless speculation going on because right now we are in the time of really nothing.
So we're just going to talk about our Detroit Lions. We're gonna compare them. We're going to give you our opinion as fans, not as insiders, and ultimately we're going to just banter back and forth about the things that we love. So
a little bit more around the NFL. This is going to shock you. But there's another athlete that made millions of dollars that's broke, and his name is Antonio Brown. Just filed for bankruptcy.
I didn't even see it coming. Yeah. Really? Oh, man.
It's unbelievable. He had some contracts out there, and he had some dollars on the table, and he decided to kind of, I don't know if he waved at the fans and he kissed them goodbye.
Was it when he took off his pads and he stripped down as he walked off the field? Or, the guy went from one of the best in the game as a Pittsburgh Steeler to just deconstructing. Like he self-imploded. It's been a surprise.
The Steelers have been really good at when they have guys on their roster, containing them. And when they slip off their roster, when they choose not to sign maybe a running back that was a perennial All-Pro, or a wide receiver like Antonio Brown that was a perennial All-Pro, And he goes away, and all of a sudden, things happen in their career.
Right. And after you leave a place that kind of keeps you in wraps and keeps you in line, and as soon as you get those freedoms to stretch your wings, it feels like some of these guys just fall apart.
I mean, Plaxico Burress, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, a lot of the most controversial names came from from Pittsburgh, and soon after they're out of the league, and 2 out of the 3 were very post Pittsburgh Steelers career.
Does that make you question, like, is Mike Tomlin better or even underrated at some points? I mean, he's a perennial playoff contender, but typically not necessarily a Super Bowl winner, right? So is he one of those guys that is getting the most out of his players and just not getting into the promised land? Are we not giving him enough credit?
Is that why Aaron Rodgers went to the Steelers? Because he wants to bury the past like a dark cave eating bark, chugging Asawana or whatever that is.
Well, you heard he signed a 1-year deal because he's going to ride off in the sunset after the 2025 season. So
yeah, and he's married now, so that's good for him.
Britton,
yeah. Commanders, man, a 3.7 with a B $billion RFK Stadium redevelopment. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess if you build it, they will come. I mean, what are we looking at here? I mean, we know that the biggest and the newest and the best things is what attracts the crowds. And so if you don't have those things, then you're not going to pull the crowds in. You're not going to be able to get the Super Bowls, the Pro Bowl, like the stuff that you want people to come to. So, I mean, you got to put the money where your mouth is.
So, new owner Josh Harris, it's a 65,000 stadium seat on the old RFK site, closer to DC. It's backed by $2.7 billion of private money and $1.1 billion of public investment. And the DC Council must decide this by July 15th. And this would be a opening of 2030.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, if you're putting that kind of money into this, you're hoping for a big return.
Yeah, and to me, I still look at Ford Field as like a new stadium, and we're starting to hear that it's like, hey, this is getting a little outdated.
It's going to be one of the older stadiums in the league, and we have to figure out ways in order to update, if not rebuild. And how does that work when you're already downtown? You're in a location that you want to be. You're just across the way from Comerica Park and across the corner from Little Caesar Arena. And I mean, you want that hub of craziness going on there. How do you adjust that? How do you move that without taking a hit along the way?
It's an arms race. So if you are not giving the user this unbelievable experience, why would they leave sitting down in a bar, watching 45 different TVs, having NFL Red Zone on one, and the Lions, the Reds, whatever team you're watching on another? It's tough. So you have to really attract the fans, right?
You got to give them an experience, right? And they're paying top dollar right now. And you've probably seen those Lions tickets, and they're going up. And if you're not getting the product on the field, you better get the product in the stadium.
So the Lions haven't really announced. I mean, they've done some locker room stuff we talked about a couple weeks ago, but they're not announcing facade changes or field changes. So they must be pretty proud of the product on the field, and that's going to keep the fans showing up.
I mean, obviously it is. I mean, it's a sought after ticket, and people are paying the price, and everybody's trying to get their little piece of that action, and we are too. So
yeah, no doubt. Texans re-signed troubled defensive back Damon Arnett. I mean, he's a very talented former Buckeye. Legal troubles include death threats, drug charges, played in the UFL for a little bit, but they're going to take a chance on him.
And it's funny when you're an athlete and you have that paradigm where how athletic are you, how good are you is going to outweigh sometimes the off-field behaviors. And his obviously paradigm hit that threshold. Yeah, so
no doubt.
I don't think it hit the threshold for the Detroit Lion to come in. I mean, we have a culture that we're pretty squeaky clean at this point, but sounds like the Texans are going to take a swing.
Yeah, I feel like they got a coach that has kind of a culture around him, very respected guy, and maybe that's a good fit for him kind of going forward.
And maybe that's again kind of a Mike Tomlin-esque feel where we can get these guys that might be questionable on a strict standard a routine where they can walk through that and stay in line. So
no doubt about it. So Tom Brady takes his shirt off. I don't know, he's selling ads. Who knows if this is even like Photoshop, whatever. Is anything real life anymore? But 47 years old, looking shredded,
dude,
working out hard, and it's like, hey, is he going to come back to the NFL?
And I'm sure that there's teams that'd be more than willing to sign on that dotted line to have Tom come in. But because he's now a part owner of an NFL franchise, I think that limits his chances there.
The rumor is the Steelers, which I would love to watch the soap opera of like him and Aaron Rodgers coexisting. But the fact that he's already an NFL owner, this is just complete garbage. Like, let's just give it up. Like, ladies, like he's got some abs at 47. It's not going to be in the cards for most of us 40-something-year-olds, but the dude does whatever he does and is doing really well at it.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders, I mean, his legal trouble. Again, we talked a little bit about this last week. Drafted as a QB2, given his, or QB3, basically given his draft stock, and probably the most talented player on the Browns roster, but just doesn't put it all together off the field.
And that's the question. Where are they going? What's the threshold? Again, we talked about that threshold, that paradigm of player talent versus off the field antics. Where is his threshold going to hit?
Yeah, I mean, would you? This is a random question, but would you trade Hendon Hooker for Shedeur Sanders straight up right now?
So Hendon Hooker, the only thing you hear about Hendon Hooker is like he's not quite there yet, and he's going to be in a competition battle at QB2 with Kyle Allen.
Yeah.
You don't hear that he's going 101. You don't hear that he's going 91. You don't hear that he's getting all these extra antics off the field. So no, I'm not trading my QB2 for somebody who's going to take away from the locker room. Somebody who's going to distract the locker room.
Devil's advocate, though, he was an old rookie. This is now entering his third year. There's guys entering their second year that are 3 years younger than him, and we haven't heard enough noise that he can secure the backup quarterback spot.
And that's fair, but again, we're talking QB2 problems, not necessarily QB1 problems. So am I willing to let this ride out for another year? Yeah, and see where the dust settles after the 2025 season, and go into 2026 thinking, hey, maybe I draft another quarterback.
Yeah.
At some point to fill that role if he is not unable to fill that role effectively.
Next year is pretty much, from all the speculation, it's a very quarterback heavy draft coming into next year. So that could be a year where, as the Lions, if there's a couple guys that fall down the board, and I don't think they're going to waste first round capital, second round capital, maybe third or later, that they go out and if the value's there, they pluck a guy that they really like for the future.
And it makes sense, right? Every 2-3 years, you should be taking a shot at somebody who could fill that QB2 role as a cheap, replacement or possibly a franchise changer. So
yeah, Justin Tucker, just the model of consistency on the field, and just.
It seems like a model of consistency off the field, too. I mean, it seems like it's not happening just once, but very consistently.
You're right. Yeah, I've never thought about how consistent he was off the field. It just didn't get reported until later.
Right.
10-game suspension, violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. Is this a guy, if Jake Bates gets hurt and he serves his suspension or anywhere else?
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to tell you, like, if you've seen guys on the Lions get a DUI or have questionable character, they're removed. Like it's a non-negotiable. Like we expect a certain standard as our Detroit Lions moving forward, and Justin Tucker just doesn't fit that, regardless of talent. And we talk about again that paradigm, that threshold. Our threshold is low for that off the field antics, unless you were drafted by the Detroit Lions and groomed by the Detroit Lions, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell specifically.
So this is a JMO clause that you're.
This is my JMO clause, right? Okay, JMO had some off the field antics. He got dinged here and there with these little ticky tacky. I'm going to call them ticky tacky rules and so on. But because he was a Brad Holmes draftee, because let's be honest, Dan loves this guy, and I almost see him as a father figure to some extent to J-Mo, leading him through this in his younger years to where he is now. And we can only hope that J-Mo breaks out, has zero off the field issues in 2025, and breaks out in this next season.
Yeah, I love it. So we'll take our own, we'll groom our own, but don't give me your
garbage
problems coming in.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then there's a lot of that in the NFL. There's no doubt. So let's kind of kick it into the big segment one. Mm-hmm. We're going to spotlight a little bit here. The Lions' defensive roster compared to the Philadelphia Eagles, also the Vikings, the Packers, and the Bears.
And so if you dive into this part of our roster, you think of the Lions going into 2024, and we were excited. And you looked at our first 5, 6 or so games, and we're a top 5 defense. We're top 5 defense. This is a healthy Hutch. This is, we have the first 2 games of Davenport. We have a healthy linebacker crew. And I'm telling you, this is a young TA, Terrion Arnold, who had those really, really questionable sometimes calls. But yes, 6 pass interference calls in the very first 5 games. And so you look at this defense, and we're top 5. You get us healthy again going into the 2025 season, and that's scary. So we are, I'm going to tell you, getting better because of a second year in TA. And you look at him after game 11, he's sticky. He's a top 10, maybe top 12 defensive back in the league. And we've talked about this in earlier pods. He could be challenging for that number 1 CB spot.
It just goes against, if you're a neutral to pessimistic Lions fanatic, like you just are nervous about the defense, right? Like you feel confident in the offense, 5 out of 6 days, but you're nervous on the defense maybe 3 out of 4 days. So you saying that, like you're putting the Lions up there as a top 10 defense kind of going in the year.
And if we can stay healthy, that's huge. That's the number 1 piece, because we don't need to be what we were offensively. We don't need to be top in the league offensively if we have a top 10 defense. And I'm saying top 10 defense. I'm not even saying top 5. Okay? We can beat guys 27-21 if we have a top 10 defense. And that means that we don't have to score 45 points a game in order to outscore people. It doesn't have to be a track race. It can be a football game. So you look at guys like TA, who I think are going to take major steps forward. You look at guys like DJ Reed, who I honestly believe is a step above Carlton Davis. He is perfect fit for the Detroit Lions. Now, am I saying that we are better than the Philadelphia Eagles? No, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have an amazing roster, top to bottom. Defensively, they're solid, but we're in it to win it, and we are able to compete with those top tier defenses as well.
So let's use that as a segue, and let's just break down. Let's get into the defensive line and linebacker.
Sure.
And I want you to kind of run through kind of your overarching themes here on the Lions versus some of their competitors.
Okay, so right now PFF just broke down defensive line. Okay, our defensive line ranked the 6th in the NFL. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles ranked number 2, so that means that they're above us. But guess who was not in the top 10? The Minnesota Vikings, the Green Bay Packers, or the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Right. So at this point, the PFF believes that the Lions have a pretty spectacular defensive line. And that's a huge piece considering we were top in all of run defense throughout the year, not just when Hutch was healthy, not just when Davenport was healthy, but throughout the year.
So if you're watching this, you have watched our last week's podcast where we broke down the offense. Throwing you a curveball here. If you didn't, go back and watch it. But are those teams all much higher rated on the offensive side than the Lions?
Listen, last year the Lions were number one.
Okay.
So we're coming off a year of spectacular offensive play. So all we need as a Lions fan is to believe that our team can stay healthy. And with that health can come excellence.
This is a very optimistic look.
It is. I'm excited about it. So, and this is coming off, like, again, a past pod where, hot take, I believe that Marcus Davenport is going to stay healthy throughout the year. And I know that is where Lions fans are very concerned, is edge depth. Edge depth. All you hear is trade for Trey Hendrickson, or sign Zadarius Smith now, or
Browns just cut another defensive end. It's like, hey, pick them up.
Let's get all the defensive ends that we can possibly get and put them on the Lions, because that's going to make us better. And the reality is, you're right. I mean, if we pay more for defensive ends, we're going to have better defensive ends. But the reality is, Davenport is a good defensive end, and until he becomes unhealthy this season, we're not necessarily in need. We don't need a Zadarius Smith to play 8 snaps a game, right? We would love to have him for depth, and if financially it makes sense, bring him on. But Hutch is coming off an injury where he has already responded before in the similar injury, and he is going to take on 96% of those snaps again. Okay, and so he is going to be high production. He is going to be high energy, and he's going to be back, I believe, where he left off quicker rather than later.
Yeah, and again, we don't need to get this thing humming. As Lions fans, we want to start really getting this rolling. Week 7, week 8, when Reader's healthy, when we just want this rolling right around like week 10, 11, 12, going into our playoff push.
Get Tyleek, the reps that he needs early on in the season. Bring Aleem back healthy later in the season. Have a healthy Hutch. Have a healthy Davenport. Bring on guys like Muhammad and have support there. Get reps for guys like Hassanin, who you've seen do 405 on the bench several times. Guys, this is going to be a good defensive line moving forward, and we got to continue to work through these things. We just want to make sure that we're healthy at the right time.
So can you give a little bit of breakdown between maybe the back 7, between the Lions versus kind of their peers in the North and also the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I mean, you look at linebackers and the depth there. I mean, let's be honest. Minnesota Vikings defense is solid. They're a good defense. You have really fantastic guys that are coming off the edge. They play Sam for them. You have that interior depth there as well. Van Ginkel is, let's be honest, he's a game changer, and it's hard to compete with that. But Alex Anzalone coming back is a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He is great at coverage, and he's going to continue to play at that captain role. Derek Barnes coming back healthy is going to be very important in that Sam role. Okay, and I think that we talked about this before. He's going to have more role in that pass rush than he did in years past. And so I'd love to see him stay healthy for a season. We're going to get Malcolm back. Jack Campbell is going to be even better coming into this year. So, I mean, he got the reps that he needed throughout all of last year and the experience he needed in order to become the captain he needs to be at some point. And he got better at pass coverage and that pass rush. So, those linebackers, like, I would say, yes, Minnesota, I would put them maybe a step above us. But Philadelphia is right there with us, maybe even. We're right there as well. And then you have those second tiers like Green Bay and Chicago.
So Here's a parody of an old quote here, but the Philadelphia Eagles whispered to Dan Campbell that a storm is coming. And Dan Campbell whispered back that I am the storm.
Yeah.
And here it comes, right? Like
Listen, they're not going to be hiding from that storm. They are the storm moving forward.
It's really, really fun stuff. So let's get it a little bit into our boy Bill. Has he whispered anything to you this week?
He's whispered. He's like, man, this is pretty slow right now. You know, not a lot going on, but he continues to struggle with not bringing on Za'Darius earlier than later. He's still struggling with the depth at the end, and he'll continue to struggle that until we see Za'Darius sign on the dotted line, which I ultimately believe, even that he is going to have the limited snaps, he will be coming on as a Detroit Lion.
Okay, so Bill to be continued. I know it's a low point. It's hard to come up with a ton of things, but it just feels like everybody's begging the Lions to sign a DN, and the Lions are like, "Hey, man, we like what we got."
And to be honest with you, I was just going through some stuff, and I was hearing about was it Sack U with Max Crosby coming in and talking. I've heard some speculation, and I haven't nailed it down exactly yet. But Max is talking to the Raiders and about before the draft, trying to get Ahmad Hassanin into the Raiders camp as well. Talking about wanting Hassanin to come into his Sack U, and Hassanin's like, I'm sorry, I'm working on with the Lions right now. So it's cool to see some of these higher end elite DNs talking about guys like Hassanin. We know that he's a developmental guy. We know that he's not going to necessarily be the top end edge that we're hoping for week one, but he is going to play with his hair on fire. He is going to work his butt off. And if you've seen those videos of him doing 405, you know that he's putting the work in. So
he feels a little bit like the Rodrigo story. And we didn't have a Rodrigo before Rodrigo, right?
Sure.
So like Hassanin, I think maybe they feel a little bit like this guy is just going to give it his all. Rodrigo will play linebacker, he'll play fullback, he'll play special teams. And Hassanin is just a guy that's in, like, wherever you want to put me in.
That comparison is it's almost ideal because Rodrigo, when we had Rodrigo, he started as a rookie. He filled that role so well as a rookie. He might not have had the high-end talent like some of us wanted, but he filled that bridge so well until we got a Jack Campbell and a healthy and up to par Derek Barnes and an Anzalone going at full steam. So, it just makes sense, right?
Yeah, and the Lions have a type. Brad Holmes has a type, and he partners with Dan Campbell to find that type. They are really on the same wavelength, and they're looking for this roster build together. We're going to get into a little bit of the fourth round picks.
Ooh.
So the Lions' last 10 years of fourth round draft picks, I'm going to run through the list a little bit just to give you the names, kind of where they're from. And then Brian is really going to kind of break down where the Lions had a lot of success and where the Lions had some failures. And please feel free to kind of comment and tell us maybe some guys that you feel like still have potential, or guys that were on the board that you really wanted, or guys that you feel like we got wrong and you think that they're better players. But Giovanni Manu, 2024, still a developmental guy out of British Columbia. 2023, Sorsdale, offensive tackle out of William & Mary, just a project guy. 2022, had no pick, traded away that pick. 2021, man, really double dipped here and got Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it's not going to be hard to like chalk that up to maybe Brian's favorite pick.
Yep.
But also Derek Barnes, linebacker out of Purdue. 2020 COVID year, they took Stenberg out of offensive guard out of Kentucky. Mahler, depth piece, never really was a starter with the Lions. 2019, Austin Bryant, a guy they traded up for. He was part of the fearsome foursome of the defensive line at Clemson. That was a man, it was kind of an exciting pick at the time. Like it was like, holy cow, this guy's hanging around the 4th round. This is when Clemson was just perennial national championship contender, and they were known as just being a super disruptive defensive line. 2018 took a guy out of Alabama named Deshaun Hand, former #1 high school recruit. Super giddy about this guy, and right off the bat showed flashes like, holy cow, this could be a guy still in the league today.
Yep.
And you'll get to it. Yeah, I'm holding Brian back like he's a pit bull on a chain, seeing a big old steak. He wants to say something. 2017, Jalen Reeves-Maben, linebacker out of Tennessee, just special team standout dude that like filled some roles, and for a 4th rounder did exactly what you could do. And then, speaking of special team standout, 2016, Miles Killebrew, dude that killed special teams, could crush in at safety if he wanted to, had some time there, could stand up at an outside linebacker position if he needed to. Never really got a ton of traction there, but like, man, was a standout in special teams. And going back to 2015, Gabe Wright, defensive tackle out of Auburn, again, traded up big for this guy. He was a Mel Kiper dream board guy that was falling. Lions picked him up, and at the time, jogging your memory back 10 years, kids, Wikipedia. But we were excited about that, and thought maybe he could be a guy that could help out for a while. So, Brian, coming full circle here. Oof. Let's start just kind of the low-hanging fruit.
It's obvious, right? I mean, it's hard to argue that Amon-Ra St. Brown is easily the best 4th round pick in Detroit Lions last decade. And the guy is exactly what you need in developing a roster. I mean, he came in Dan Campbell's first year, Brad Holmes' first year. He came in on a roster that was struggling. He came in with no success. I mean, you listen to his podcast, and he talks about how, and he's not bashful about saying he did not want to go to Detroit. Like, I don't care where I go, I just don't want to go to Detroit. And now you talk to him, and he's like beaming about being in Detroit, just loving the fact on the success that he helped create in Detroit, and the culture that he has helped create in Detroit. The guy is a top 4 wide receiver in the NFL. He is a 3-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team All-Pro. The dude has gotten votes for Offensive Player of the Year. He's exactly what you want from a star at that wide receiver position, because not only is he a star, but he's also the guy that is going to go downfield and block. Yeah. He's going to go downfield and do the dirty work that you don't expect a Justin Jefferson to do or a Jamar Chase to do. He's doing all the things that you would expect a Tim Patrick to do, right? And so he's not going to expect him to do more than himself.
So we just talked about Hassanin and the way that he fit this DNA and a Rodrigo DNA. So you're wrapping a guy up here with a lunch pail DNA, but you're giving him the talent of a guy that is a top 5-10 player at his position in the NFL, and that is a dangerous combination.
And it's awesome to think of Amon-Ra to fit that top 5 position, because he doesn't have top 5 size, he doesn't have top 5 speed, he doesn't have top 5 really metrics. He just has top 5 work ethic. And he has taken the talent that God has given him, plus the work that he has done, plus the character that is in between the 6 inches of his head, and he is making sure that he does it right every rep of every play.
Yeah, and so he's a mentor, he's a culture builder, he's a guy that you give a big contract to, you keep in Detroit, and then when you bring guys in, they see the standard there, and then he gets to create and continue that culture for years and years on end.
It's exactly what he does.
Unbelievable. So beyond the low-hanging fruit, and we can listen, we can gush forever there, but
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about a couple other fourth-round picks?
Some honorable mentions. Derek Barnes is an honorable mention, and I would say that he is a to-be-determined kind of player. Could he fill a beautiful role? He got a second contract in Detroit. Yes. Like, I think that losing Derek Barnes last year was a major hit, and I think an underrated hit to what we wanted to do as a defense. So I think Derek Barnes is definitely somebody that is a great pick, but we're not sure yet what his level of excitement could be.
Yeah.
Maben. I mean, Jerm was one of he was a captain for the Detroit Lions for years on special teams. He was a guy that just filled that role. He filled the backup linebacker role. He did all the things that you wanted him to do, and he did it really, really well. And so I would say that I'd throw him in that great fourth-round pick as well. Killebrew, you could kind of mix him into that as well. I would say probably a step below Jerm for sure. But then you get into that, like, man, I wish you wouldn't have taken this pick. And, I mean, you look at Logan Sternberg and you're like, hey, man, this is a guy that 3 years in the league, he started 3 total games, just did not have the production that you would want. And just overall was a fourth-round miss.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at this point, you're picking up girls at the club at 2 a.m., right? And, like, your eyes are a little foggy. But there's a lot going on here.
Sure.
Like, you're just trying to get home
Sure,
with somebody,
I mean,
like, keep your bed comfortable.
You're
right?
Aiden Hutchinson's like, you see this girl, she says yes, you're going home at 9 o'clock, right? I mean, you don't even pass the
I'm
velvet
not
ropes.
going to the club.
You don't even pass the velvet ropes, right? But a guy like Derek Barnes, you're like, this turned out for me. This worked out okay.
I'm not kicking him out of bed in the morning and like, hey, I'll get you an Uber home. Like, I might even like give you my real phone number and be like, you know what? If you want to hang out again, I will bring you to something better than Applebee's. Promise. So that fourth round, it was fun. Had some successes there.
Yes.
Really feel like the Lions have really built on some really good draft classes, but hey, I think it's time to spin it around the North a little bit. Talk a little bit about the Green Bay Packers. Packers on a mission, man. Had a playoff exit. They're digging into looking at the schedule, man. They have a 4 road games against last year's playoff teams. But if you think about it, the Lions have a tough schedule. But the Packers, they got tough sledding, and they got a very similar roster to last year, but very similar coaching staff.
Sure. I mean, the continuity at coaching staff is important for the Green Bay Packers. I think they actually got worse at DB, losing Jair Alexander. I mean, the reality is that guy was really good, right? I mean, he couldn't stay healthy, but the question mark is now you have a couple of DBs that primarily played in the slot year after year, and now you're expecting them to play outside. Are they going to be able to do the things they want to do defensively, knowing that they don't have an elite outside corner in order to shut that down?
Yeah.
So
yeah. It'll be interesting. So, like, let's kick it over to the Chicago Bears a little bit. You want to talk about going to the club looking for girls, right? The Chicago Bears went to one of those P. Diddy parties, right? And they just sprinkled money.
Lots of baby oil.
And they sprinkled baby oil and money on all the offensive linemen they could find to come fix their problems, right? And they just want to have fun at this party.
And the reality is they address the offensive line. They are going to be the offseason champs yet again. They're going to hang that banner. Yep. But the reality is I don't think that they're there yet. And the reason that they're not there yet is in my honest opinion, is Caleb Williams. Like, I do not believe that Caleb Williams is a leader. I do not believe that he is going to – I don't believe that he is going to be able to push the Chicago Bears over the edge. I think that they're going to have a better offensive line. But I thought they were okay at offensive line last year. Okay. But Caleb put them into really bad situations. And I don't think that Ben Johnson's going to be able to knock that out of him in his first year.
You're just a Ben Johnson hater. Brian he's a scorn lover turned hater. So, hey, Vikings, let's talk a little bit about schedule. We talked about JJ too much. So,
You want to talk about JJ?
Overseas grind here. They're going to Dublin, London. They have a gauntlet in the middle of the season against Philadelphia Eagles, San Diego Chargers, the Lions, and the Ravens. Again, we could talk about the NFC North. It's just going to have brutal schedules because the NFC North is good, and they got to recycle those same teams multiple times, and then they're probably going to hit the Eagles, and they're going to go, over the AFC and get one or two tough games. But man, that is going to be very, very tough.
And so it's going to be very telling on who the Vikings really are and how they kind of navigate those tough games. And the reality is I think that the Vikings are the team in the NFC North that are going to challenge the Lions the most. So that's where I stand. And it's going to be very much on the back of the guy that we talk about week after week after week is JJ. Is he going to be the real deal? Is he going to be able to come in his rookie season and play like a rookie, or is he going to come into his rookie season and play like a vet? So those are the questions.
Yeah. So I think the synopsis here, going around the North multiple times, and we're going to continue to do it, but the North is elite.
Yes.
And if you want to go backwards here, the North combined last year in 2024 for a 662 winning percentage, which is a record-breaking winning percentage.
Crazy.
In division. So it's a very, very tough division, and it's going to come down to some rematch, gauntlets, and it's going to be must watch TV.
Yeah.
Watching the North this year, kind of battle it out.
And if you think about it, depending on the analyst that you're talking to or that you're listening to, every one of the NFC North teams are been picked to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which one? It could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 2. Who do you pick to make the playoffs out of the NFC North?
Well, son of a gun, man. If there's only one team that was 16-3 versus the North over the past 3 seasons, if there's only one team that had the number one offense in the NFC last year, there's only one team that Brian said is a top 5 defense.
When healthy.
In the NFL.
Could be the Lions.
It could be the Lions.
It could be the Lions.
Hey, this has been fun. Brian, tell us about our social medias here.
Hey, check it out. We're on the Twitter, we're on the X, we're on the Blue Sky. You've seen us on YouTube. You've seen us on Spotify. Go and make sure you make a comment.
Who's putting out enthusiastic content like this? This is a tough time period. So who's diving in deep for you? Please subscribe, follow, comment, tell your friends to follow us. If you like the enthusiasm now, man, wait till the season.
Wait till we win 15 more games.
I got Brian on the dog chain right now, man. He's got a muzzle. He's got something around his balls, and I'm tugging as tight as I can. Wait till I release this guy to the right.
Very uncomfortable.
So hey, thanks for passing time with us. Be sure to follow, comment, listen. I'm Rob. I really appreciate you tuning in.
I'm Brian.
So cheers. Until next time.